Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. This is my thing. I'm the host in my family. I have the entire extended family over for Thanksgiving, and I've just always loved this time of year. I love that meal. I love all the flavors that start to get wrapped into Thanksgiving. So I just really wanted to touch on all things Thanksgiving with this episode. My Aunt Gloria did Thanksgiving all during my childhood, all the way until right before I had children. And I took over Thanksgiving from her and always wanted to live up to the way she did Thanksgiving because it was such a strong memory for me. And we lost her in the past year and a half. It was really something I just love thinking about Thanksgiving at her home, and I wanted to kind of give her a shout out for what she taught me, because I feel like I'm pretty good at this whole Thanksgiving thing. It's funny when I talk to people about entertaining, I always say, don't worry about the food. No one remembers the food. They just remember the fun thing. But in this instance, I have a very specific memory of what happened with the food at this one particular Thanksgiving. And I'm not getting a whole lot of traction in my family in terms of getting them to back me on this incident that happened. On this episode of Smidgen, I'm doing some detective work. I'm calling my family, and we are going to get to the bottom of this Thanksgiving mystery. After we uncover the mystery and prove that I am right, we are then going to dive into a more recent incident that happened last year at my home, because I want everyone to know what happened and know that even when you think it's a major disaster, you can still have a very successful Thanksgiving. We are going to head over to some listener calls because we did a really, really special podcast live in the shop at Red Stick Spice during some cooking segments, and we got some really great questions from customers all about Thanksgiving. My name is Ann Milneck. I own Red Stick Spice Company. I call myself the tireless champion of home cooks, and you are listening to Smidgen.
You're listening to Smidgen, the Red Stick Spice Company podcast located directly between a dash and a pinch, where it's all about the tips, tricks, and tools to make home cooking easy and doable. We did our research, and it's proven. Mealtime's where it's at. And now your host, Ann Milneck.
So I started with my mom. My mom's always got my back. And posed the question to her to see what she remembered about the turkey incident.
Hello?
Hey, Mother.
Hey.
What are you doing?
I'm watching TV.
Oh, okay. So I have a podcast where I talk about home cooking, and we are doing an episode about Thanksgiving, how home cooks get really nervous about it being perfect, and it doesn't have to be that way. And even sometimes when there's disasters, you can recover from disasters.
Uh-huh.
Well, I have a memory about Thanksgiving, and I'm wondering if you remember this. Do you remember?
Dropping the turkey?
Yes.
No, I don't remember about dropping the turkey. Who did it?
Well, I don't know who dropped the turkey, but you just said someone dropped a turkey.
Yeah,
I didn't drop a turkey.
Maybe I was talking about it to Robert or Jody.
Oh, okay.
But I don't remember.
You don't remember her dropping the turkey?
Dropping the turkey. Who dropped the turkey?
I don't. That's what we're trying to figure out. I remember her dropping the turkey.
Oh, I don't know. It's possible.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep calling cousins till I can figure this out.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you later.
Okay.
All right. I love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was super validating. But then we moved on to some other phone calls from other family members, and they were a little less satisfying. I'm still right, though. So next up, I got my Aunt Cherie on the phone. She is my Aunt Gloria's sister, to see what she remembered about the turkey. So do you remember your sister Gloria dropping the turkey?
No.
That did not happen?
Well, it may have happened before I was there. When do you remember it happened? Were we eating? Remember.
She was getting ready. We were at her house, and she was getting ready, and it was a little frantic, as things were before all of our big meals. And she was coming in from the garage because they had that little kitchen outside, that kitchen in the garage where they did a
Right.
lot of cooking. And she was coming up the steps and she dropped the turkey.
Uh-oh.
You don't
That
remember
must have-
that?
No, it must have happened before I got there, I guess.
Do you not remember a Thanksgiving where we didn't eat turkey?
No, I don't. So you see, it didn't matter that much because we must have had enough food with the other stuff, I guess. I
So-
don't remember this.
So we always had enough sides
Oh, yes.
to feed,
Yeah.
and then we were all worrying before, did we have enough food?
Right?
But are you ready for this? This is what I remember. Uncle Below fried fish because she dropped a turkey. No?
Nope, I don't remember that, Ann.
Now I've got two stories in the family that nobody believes me because nobody believes that me and Pop ate pawpaws. Did I ever talk to you about pawpaws? The fruit?
No. I didn't know that was around here.
It's a little papaya and it grows mostly like in the Carolinas and I think a little bit in like Alabama.
Right.
And it's a little papaya that tastes a little bit like a banana. And
Huh.
he told me that he picked them in the woods. And which Robert says that he probably bought them at the grocery store.
I don't think that ever was in our woods. I think that's a little tall tale.
All right. I'm 0 for 0 here.
Yes. I don't remember that.
Okay.
How old do you think you were? Can you picture an age or figure?
I want to say, well before like bringing boyfriends, for Thanksgiving. So I was definitely like probably 11, 12, something like that. I remember being old enough to be asked to help, like pull that out of the oven, stir that, that sort of thing. But, not like teenager and being, very, very excited about all this food, of course.
No, it could have easily happened that we were at Miss Verna's for Thanksgiving.
Ah, okay. I
Sometimes
forgot
we took
about
turns.
that.
So I may not have been there. I don't remember this story. It seems like I'd have been there helping them fry fish or something.
Right. So, okay, I'm going to keep making calls because I feel better now. Maybe you weren't there. I'm going to keep making calls to see if I can get to the bottom of this one. My sister Grace seemed to remember something about something being dropped, but not as specifically as I do.
There is a vague deja vu feeling of that. I do remember our great Aunt Pauline falling off of a two-wheel bike at Thanksgiving because she was insistent at her elderly age of actually getting on a two-wheel bike and riding it. So I do remember that falling on the ground.
Did something break? Was it an emergency or did we scoop her up?
No, not at all. She just hopped right back up like the trooper that she was.
Okay.
I do remember that.
Okay.
And I do have some vague memory of a turkey hitting the ground, but I don't think that I observed it.
Okay.
I think I only heard about it.
Okay. I remember the turkey being dropped, and then we had lots of sides, so there was plenty of food, but there was a lot of yelling, and people were very upset, and then Uncle Below fried fish.
Oh, I do have you're striking a familiar memory to me, but I can't say that I have vivid memories of it.
Okay.
But yes, I don't know if it was me hearing stories that Betty told, but yes, those things do sound familiar.
Needless to say, dropped turkey, fried fish, falling off bikes. We still made it through, and we still had great Thanksgivings.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So what's your most vivid memory of Thanksgiving at Aunt Gloria's house?
I was such a picky eater as a child.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was more about seeing her set the table and the intricacies that went into each table and what dishes got put on each table. And just admiring all that red fostoria, or hers might not have been red. It might have been clear. I more remember that
Okay.
than the actual food, honestly.
So, and then what's your favorite thing about, and I'm assuming there's a favorite thing about Thanksgiving at my house?
Oh, well, the food is like restaurant quality food, so it's just unbeatable.
Well, thank you.
We're blessed. We have, unbelievably good food. There's not a dish that anyone turns their nose up at.
Well, thank you. Well, I always love, Thanksgiving's always been my favorite, and I always love going to Thanksgiving at her house, and I'm just honored that I do it now for the family. It's fun for me, but okay, I think we're getting closer to clearing this up. I feel like the drop turkey, I'm going to get some consensus on this, and I appreciate you talking to us.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll talk to y'all soon. Then I talked to my cousin Carolyn, Gloria's daughter, and she remembers about something being dropped, but not so sure about the turkey, and no one seems to be able to back me up on the fried fish.
I remember her dropping something. I didn't realize it was the turkey. I thought it might have been a pan of spaghetti.
Yes.
I do remember my father getting very, very upset, but he was laughing. He was he was joking about it, but he was laughing about it. But I don't remember it being the turkey.
So she dropped something, but you're not sure that it was the turkey.
I don't remember if it was the turkey. I just figured it was a pan of spaghetti.
Okay. Which would have
and
been...
I could be wrong with that, too.
And look, in our family, that pan of spaghetti is almost as valuable as the turkey.
Absolutely.
Okay. That helps. So all of these calls didn't quite come together like the true crime episode I thought they would. But I think that's how family memories go. We don't always have the most accurate memories, and in talking about this, that seems so crazy that she dropped the turkey, and y'all, she dropped the turkey. What's been funny with my production staff in talking about this is the most beloved dish at our family gathering is baked spaghetti. And there's like, that's the bigger mystery. Why is your family all about the baked spaghetti, not the turkey? But more important here is that I just got to go back down that road of thinking about Thanksgiving at my Aunt Gloria's house. Drop turkey or not, even though it was absolutely dropped, everybody. What's more important is that we have these cherished memories. And I am so excited that I've been able to do this going forward. So my oldest daughter is married. She has children. They come in each year for Thanksgiving. And I was able to provide my son-in-law, her husband, Ben, with a really, really memorable moment with our turkey last year.
I'm trying to remember. Is this when the grill was ablaze, 5-alarm fire happening inside the grill?
I think the proper term would be the turkey was engulfed in flames.
Yeah. I remember that. Is this kind of like what happens in Vegas? Stays in Vegas? Am I allowed to talk about this? If I tell people, am I still invited to Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Circle of Trust last year, but we want to share this with the world so that everyone knows you can recover from a turkey completely engulfed in flame. Pro tip.
Yes.
Pro tip, lamb has a lot of fat. The fat dripped off the lamb into the drip tray. I did not clean the drip tray, fired up the grill the next day. I went to a very, very high heat because I blast my turkey at 450 degrees for about 30 minutes, and then I reduced the heat down. When the grill went up to 450 degrees, the lamb drippings burst into flames, and the turkey was engulfed in flames. Very, very, very momentarily, we turned off the grill, put out the fire. I wiped down the turkey and proceeded with cooking. And it just gave that really nice smoky edge to last year's Thanksgiving turkey. And everything was fine, right, Ben?
Yeah, it was still delicious. I don't think anybody complained about it either.
Well, I appreciate you being there for me outside. I know that was probably terrifying for you.
Yeah. I was worried that somehow I did that because I think the previous year we went on vacation to the beach and you had charged me with grilling something on the grill.
Right.
And it was a similar experience where I think it was something as simple as burgers. And I went out there and the same thing happened. So I felt like camaraderie with you. We had a shared experience behind turning the grill on fire and it just melting everything. So
Right. You did, on that trip, you did melt utensils for sure, but definitely some two good, really, I feel like we're closer now because of it, some great
Yeah.
teachable moments. And I think a great way to share with folks that you can recover despite food being engulfed in flames.
You can. Yep. And yeah, you can laugh about it in the future.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, thanks, Ben. I appreciate you coming on.
you're very welcome.
All right. Talk to you
I
soon.
can't wait for Thanksgiving this year. It's
Oh.
gonna be good.
I'm excited. It's my favorite time of year. With that, just know that anything that seems like a disaster, any level of stress you're feeling, I've lived that for you. We've taken care of that. Everything was fine, and all the memories are there. Trust me, if I can come back from a turkey engulfed in flames, you can come back from anything. So with that in mind, we took some calls from our customers who were there for our podcast live event, and we're going to answer some questions and solve some problems. So I'm going to bring in producer Catherine, and we're going to do some listener Q&A. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Anne. I had such a great time at the podcast live.
That was super fun.
It was really great. And I'm hoping that we do that again in the future. I got to talk to some of your listeners, some of our avid Smidgen listeners, and I got some hot burning questions that we want you to help us solve. Do you feel ready for that?
I'm ready.
I know you're all about having just a fun time, making memories, beautiful food, but also enjoying yourself while you're doing it.
Absolutely.
So I have several questions from the listeners. I do want to tell you, I kind of organized them by food and then Thanksgiving as an event. So you might be hearing from a couple of the listeners a couple of different times in different places. What do you think of that?
Super.
I want to start with the first question. We're getting right into the food here. I thought this was a great question because I think this might be one of those, there's two worlds. Marilyn had a great question about stuffing. There's a debate in her family. All of her family absolutely loves stuffing. It's not quite her favorite.
I really don't like stuffing. I just try to avoid it, but the rest of my family loves it, so I really can't get into cooking it. That's what I don't like. What I love is having everybody together and everybody bringing a special dish, kind of like a potluck when everybody puts on their best face, so.
So, Anne, what do you have to say about stuffing?
Well, first of all, there's a debate in definitely South Louisiana, but the South about what is dressing, what is stuffing. So I'm assuming this is either a cornbread or a bread stuffing. First of all, dry stuffing is alleviated with warm stock. So you want to have some nice unsalted stock that, we've talked about stock in previous episodes. So you want to make sure you have some stock and you want to sort of tread carefully as you add some liquid to it. Wait a minute, see if that's texture you like. But I'm wondering if she just needs to move to a different recipe. If her family's all about all the stuffing, any type, any time, then I would play around with a new recipe. So I'm in love with one right now. And also the stuffing that when I make a bread stuffing, it's coming together. Typically, there's stock and egg, and of course, aromatic celery and onions and those things. But I often approach a bread stuffing like a bread pudding. So there's a custard there, essentially. Ooh. So there's milk or cream or a combination of milk and cream with the eggs. You're basically making a savory bread pudding.
Wow.
So a couple of things with that. I love that sort of stuffing with something super, super earthy like sage and mushrooms. And we have a recipe. We'll put it in show notes. We have a recipe on our website for a sage and mushroom bread stuffing. The other thing about bread stuffings, they need to start with good bread. Mm-hmm. So a nice, say, brioche that you buy and then cube and then toast versus buying a bag of essentially the crunchy croutons that go into stuffing. So I would say for her current recipe, make sure you have lots of good stock on hand. For a new recipe, try this stuffing approach that's more of a bread pudding with a custard. And number 3, always start with good bread.
Great, and we'll make sure to have that in the show notes because that sounds already delicious. We are off to a great start.
Yeah, that is an amazing recipe. Yes.
Up next, this is pretty much a staple for a lot of people, their Thanksgiving table, and that is gravy. Barb points out that here, especially in the South, but it's becoming more popular all over the place, is the deep fried turkey. When you deep fry a turkey, you don't have the pan drippings the way that a lot of people use those as the base for their gravy. So what kind of thoughts do you have for people who are deep frying their turkey, but they still want that gravy?
For the gravy for your turkey, if you do not, down here in Louisiana, there's a lot of fried turkey. So then you're stuck with what? I would want to know some more gravy. What is the thing that'll go with my fried turkey, since I don't have the drippings like you would normally have?
I've done a couple of different things. You can get yourself to a gravy by making a blonde roux with butter and flour, and then using, you don't have stock from turkey bones because you fried your turkey, buying a good quality turkey stock, and we can link in show notes to some of the brands that I prefer, a good quality turkey stock, and that'll get you to a thickened liquid that's sort of like a gravy. But if you want to have drippings, you're going to have to roast something. So whether you buy wings and necks from the grocery store and get those in a roasting pan with some aromatics, and you're going to have to add a little fat to that because those pieces aren't going to render the amount of drippings a turkey does, but you will at least come away with it will render from those bones and that connective tissue of that turkey and give you that very distinctive turkey flavor. So you're not going to get as many drippings, but you will get some. Just be sure you're adding water in there or some stock, some vegetable stock in there. Yeah, buy a couple of inexpensive pieces from the grocery store and roast that. You could, if there's, from the wings, you could render a little bit of meat from that and put the meat into the gravy as well, which would help. But getting that, drippings are liquid drippings with some fat in them. You typically skim the fat from the top, but you do need some of that fat to give that gravy body.
I feel obliged to ask at this point, is what you're suggesting something we could do the day before? Because that's part of the Thanksgiving thing, is what can we do ahead of time?
You are actually days before.
Oh, wow.
I think you would be fine 3 days before making that, putting that on the 3 days prior list. Right. Absolutely. Roast those. And I've done it where I've roasted some of those, a few days before, and we just eat the wings for supper that night, but have the drippings to make the gravy.
Great solution, Anne. We're going to stay with Barb for a second. She asked something that did not come into my mind at all, and this is why we're taking questions from our listeners. Barb identified a lot of our very, very favorite Thanksgiving sides kind of are the same color palette.
Coordinating color. I need a white cauliflower. I need a green Brussels sprouts. I need the green bean casserole, and not overlapping. Does it make sense? I mean, because you have stuffing, and then someone wants mashed potatoes, and someone wants, and it's like, how many do we need?
So how do we have a beautiful, colorful table with lots of variety, but still getting that satisfaction of our favorites?
I would just make sure that you take some of the seasonal vegetables, like our sweet root vegetables, like sweet potatoes and butternut squash, and also Brussels sprouts are seasonal right now.
Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about Brussels in a few minutes.
Yeah, and just simply roast those, because a simple roasted vegetable with just a little bit of fat, and let those natural sugars caramelize, put a nice, spice blend on them, is a really great way to have something that not only is colorful, but also contrasts a lot of those heavier sides, especially if we're talking about the onion-topped green bean casserole, sort of all that tan beige food. So you not only need it for color, which is a great thing, but it's also a great thing to have for contrast if everything's starting to feel heavy and sort of one note. The other thing I suggest are salads that can come together the day before. So there are kale salads. We do a kale and butternut squash salad. It's on our website. We'll link to that in show notes. That can come together the day before when you're using greens and things that don't get soggy. You can dress them and have them in the fridge the day before. And a lot of those sort of chopped salad type salads can be room temp. They are also solves that problem of getting everything, hot all at the same time. So that would be another way to bring some nice contrast and color to the table.
I have to say, when we've had some beautiful fresh salads, it's one of the most popular thing at our Thanksgiving table. I think that a lot of people our tastes have changed where that's a little bit more, people are looking for that little light, fresh veggie in their Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. Another thing to consider, and again, we'll link to this in show notes, is a quick pickled red onion. Just a bowl of those out with the other foods. They can be a topping for one of the salads. They could just be a little something on the plate to help with those sort of heavier foods. It's almost the same thinking. That's why cranberry sauce is there. Cranberry sauce is to offer that tartness in opposition to the other things. And of course, cranberries and turkey want to, go on a date together. But a pickled item can really add some vibrancy and a break to the palate when you're eating a lot of those heavy foods. And if you don't want to put it on the buffet, put it out with appetizers when folks get there, but still make it available to them at dinner time. That's a week in advance for sure. Quick pickled onions in a mason jar in your fridge. Those are all set to go the day of.
Those are some great ideas to not only get the contrasting colors, but some contrasting flavors in there too. I think that was a good satisfactory. That satisfies that answer pretty well. We're now on to the main event, Anne, and that is the turkey itself. And this is from Kathy.
What else can you cook besides turkey that would feed enough people and taste good?
So, pro tip, don't drop it or allow it to burst into flames. Those would be two good starting points for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Noted. So come on, for realsies, what is a suggestion that you have for something that could be made in place of a turkey? I know some people are like clutching their pearls right now, the thought of not having a turkey with their Thanksgiving, but do you have any suggestions?
I know a lot of families that do either next to their turkey as a main dish, a Louisiana seafood dish, like an etouffee or a shrimp stew or something like that. We're also at the height of deer hunting season, so venison would be a great thing to bring to the table. But we do something in our family with pork tenderloin. It is, again, a recipe. We'll link in show notes. It's on our website. It is an absolutely gorgeous stuffed pork tenderloin that gets flattened and rolled, so you get that beautiful spiral of a stuffing inside. You can do the stuffing on its own. It's delicious on its own. It's got tasso in it. You can add crawfish or shrimp to it. It's absolutely gorgeous. The cool thing about this is that you can stuff the pork tenderloin the day before and tie it with twine and have it in your fridge. It actually prefers that to sit for a little while, and then you roast that. And pork tenderloin roasts really quickly. You're under an hour for sure. It is a showstopper main dish that can definitely sub in for turkey if your family's just done with turkey.
Those are some great food questions. You gave some good suggestions for folks. But our listeners had some really great questions, in my opinion, about Thanksgiving as an event. So let's turn our focus, turn your Anne answering brain to Thanksgiving as an event. And Nan asked a great question, and she wanted to know, what is your key to success? And this is a challenge a lot of people have about everything coming out at the same time, hot, and not feeling really frantic about the whole thing.
What is her key to success? In that when she has her meal, everything comes out at the same time, everything gets done at the same time, and you do it very calm and relaxed, not frantic. How to do that?
First of all, choosing dishes so that you have some that can be served cold, some room temp, and some hot is really the key. I always try to make sure I have some that are completely delicious, whether they do get out there piping hot, but they're fine room temperature. Now, the other thing is think about the equipment you have in and around you. What could a slow cooker do for you, perhaps? Maybe not our favorite piece of equipment out on a buffet, but with a large group having to feed a lot of people, that could be, it is a slow cooker, but it's also just a warming vessel, putting things in there to keep them warm. Also, I use my grill. Last year, it We did light the turkey on fire, but normally I approach my grill as an oven. Your grill, if you're managing the heat correctly, I have a gas grill with 3 burners and I'm able to meticulously manage the heat, and it becomes a second oven, a second heat source. So think about what you have in and around you that can help you keep those things warm. But I think the biggest key is what that combination of dishes, hot, room temp, and cold, keeping that combination so that you don't get overwhelmed with oven space.
That's a great suggestion. Nice. And a lot of us do have grills anyway. So there we go. This next one might be for a lot of our listeners, maybe after they might have become empty nesters or just changes, whatever, that they are not in a big crowd serving mood. It's for the people who are just 2 for Thanksgiving.
So I'm not cooking for 2 of us, and I'm not spending all day in the kitchen for them to come in the evening. So,
and what are your suggestions for somebody who is not cooking for a giant crowd?
I love turkey breasts. So you can buy just the breast at the grocery store, and they brine beautifully. So I do love to wet brine turkey. I've gotten away from that in recent years, with dry brine being my preferred method. We sell both wet and dry brine at the store. I love wet brine for a turkey, but when you brine a whole turkey, you need like a ice chest. You know, there's got to be a whole
the fridge
system.
In the garage, that whole thing. Yeah.
My favorite when wet brining was like big 15 years ago was I read one blog and they were like, just put it in the cool, chilled air of your basement. And I was like, basement. we don't have that here. So I had this whole rig up where I had a dedicated ice chest. Look, so worth it. Like so worth it, but you do have to watch and make sure it is submerged in ice all the time. So a turkey breast, you can wet brine in your fridge. It fits. And I love that. So wet brine a turkey breast and then just go to those favorites and scale them down into 2-person portions. But yeah, I think it's a fun time to play around with wet brining a turkey breast.
I love it. I am going to still have the full-size pecan pie with our 2-person meal.
I strongly recommend it.
Okay, this last question, my favorite. Friends and family and Thanksgiving is a joy. Guess what is not? Nan asked about cleanup, the misery of cleanup.
I love cooking because I enjoy having friends and family, all that together. You know, a sense of giving of yourself with cooking. What I don't like, I guess, cleanup, but that's, you know.
So, Anne, how can we plan ahead for cleanup and prevent it from becoming overwhelming?
You know, in our house, it's just not negotiable. Everybody has to jump in and help out. I'm not a huge fan of disposables, but I think it's probably a good day to at least make some items disposable. I'll a lot of times, you know, use the real stuff for the meal and then have disposable for desserts. That might be a way to help with the cleanup. But more than anything, it takes a village, and just recruit everyone in the kitchen to help with cleanup.
That might take some arm twisting, especially if some people are having little tryptophan comas at that point.
It depends on who's playing, what football games are on.
That's very true. Well, I think that all of these questions were just fabulous. I love it because they're very real world. These are things that people are facing, and I am just so thankful to all of our listeners, but especially our listeners who helped us out with these listener questions.
It was super fun. Thank you, guys.
And we know, you and I have had the conversation many times, that Thanksgiving is really all about the sides. So for our cooking portion of Smidgen, you have a very special side set up for us.
We do. Lily and I tackled Brussels sprouts. I feel like we're at peak Brussels sprout right now. They're pretty sexy vegetable out there in the world. And we love them. We love them roasted. We take a little bit of a different approach. They're all in one dish in one cast iron. This cast iron starts on your stove, goes in the oven, comes back out, and it's served right on your buffet from that beautiful cast iron.
And we're using a little bit of the magic of podcasting here. When you were preparing that, the smell alone of the bacon going, holy smokes, everybody was just mesmerized.
Yeah, it was crazy. I don't know that much really bad happens when you start frying bacon.
The spice that you used was the cranberry rub.
So cranberry maple rub is one of our standard, it sounds like a seasonal rub, but it's available year round in the store. It's dried cranberry. It's a little tart. There's a little bit of sugar in there and then onion and garlic. So it brings together what would normally be something used in a dessert, but we take it into savory world and it makes for a beautiful rub on these Brussels sprouts. I love it on sweet root vegetables. I love it on turkey. List goes on and on.
And it's great because that's going to be really bringing in that special flavor that we associate with Thanksgiving. There.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then also there was balsamic came into this dish as well.
We played on the cranberry a step further because these Brussels sprouts get glazed with a balsamic at the end. So smoky bacon, nice savory flavors, glaze of something sweet at the end. That's like a great formula for so many vegetables. And we use our cranberry dark balsamic on it. Beautiful, sweet, tart sweet flavor, just great for salads, but we love them on these roasted Brussels sprouts.
Look at you layering the flavors of cranberry. I like it. Wow. And tell us about where can we get the cranberry rub and the balsamic?
So you can find them both on our website at redstickspice.com. You can also pick them up at our store in Baton Rouge, on Jefferson Highway in Mid-City, or at our downtown location on Main Street. Type in Smidgen 15 at checkout for 15% off your entire purchase.
I don't want to wait any longer because that cooking segment is ready to go. I loved you and Lily preparing this Brussels sprout dish, so let's head over to the Red Stick Spice test kitchen and get those Brussels going.
Let's do it.
All right, welcome back. This is Smidgen. We are back with the cooking segment, and we are here at Red Stick Spice Company on Jefferson in my Baton Rouge shop, and shop's open, customers are here, lots of action going on, but we're in the test kitchen, me and Lily, and we are talking Thanksgiving. Sides are kind of where it's at. Everybody lives for the sides. This Brussels sprout side, you agree that Brussels sprouts should be on the Thanksgiving table?
They are in my house every year.
Okay. We're going to make one that is one pan, you're going in your cast iron, you're cooking in your cast iron, and you're serving in your cast iron. What we've done so far is we've fried off some chopped bacon.
Yes.
I don't know that much bad ever happened when bacon came to the party. We're already off to the races. And then we've got 2 shallots in here that you've sliced and we've caramelized. So let's stir those around a little bit and take a look at those. But those are golden brown, caramel colored. You can smell the sweetness. It absolutely transforms what happens to an onion when you caramelize them. So when you're caramelizing onions, it's super important that you kind of put the brakes on. You need a little bit of patience. I want to rush it sometimes, but it's a labor of love, but so worth it. Because what happens is it absolutely transforms the shallot or onion that you're caramelizing. You've got sliced shallot in here. It's turned golden brown, like that caramel color. It smells completely different than what we started with. This is cooking gold.
It is cooking
right
gold.
Here. This is something you're going to do the day of to get these Brussels sprouts started, but this is something that's so worth it to do, to have it tucked in a jar in the fridge, have those ready to go, stir those into pasta, top on a steak,
pizzas.
Yeah, the list goes on. These get moved off into, we'll just pop those in the same bowl with the bacon. I'm going to get my fire turned back on, and you're going to pull those Brussels sprouts over and start seasoning them. We're going to use our cranberry maple rub because 'tis the season. And that cranberry maple rub is super interesting. So first of all, when I bought the store, I inherited the store with a few of the spice blends, and this was one of them. And so it spoke very seasonally to me. And after Christmas, I suspended it. I was like, no more cranberry maple rub.
You canned it.
So a mom came in and said, where's the cranberry maple rub? I said, it's seasonal. And she said, well, it's the only way my child eats sweet potatoes, so you're going to need to carry it. So, yeah. So we carry it 365. It's got dried ground cranberries. It's got some orange zest in there. It does have onion, garlic, a little bit of salt, and some other spices. And maple sugar, yeah. It is tart and sweet. It does all the things. So we've got our cranberry maple on there, and we want to get these Brussels sprouts in this pan. And you can dump them in, but you would want to spend some time making sure you arrange it so that the flat sides are on the bottom, because we want to have contact with the heat and the metal so that the browning happens and they get nice and brown and start to soften. But we're not spending too much time here on the stovetop, because after we brown these, we are going to move them to the oven, which makes this super convenient. Here's what's happening with these Brussels sprouts, which is super fun, is some of these leaves are falling off, and these are going to get like crispy and magical.
They're the best part.
Yeah, you don't want to fish those out. That is where it's at. That's where that wonderful stuff happens. So we've got as many flat sides as we can on there, and then we'll get the rest of these in here. And we're going to let those brown for a bit and then move those to the oven. And don't leave any of that cranberry maple
I'm not.
behind.
I am wiping it up. I can't wait.
Okay. While we're waiting for that to happen, let's talk a little bit about the trimmings from the shallot, because you've held on to them.
I have.
And you've got them in. If you have spent any time at Red Stick Spice Company, you know about the zip top bag that lives in the freezer, our stock bag.
It now lives in my freezer.
Good.
It's a great tip.
I'm so glad I'm rubbing off on you. Okay. So into this stock bag goes the trimmings of alliums.
Alliums of
So
every
we've
sort.
got shallot trimmings, onions. We use red onions, any types of onions. We use the end pieces of green onions. We will throw leeks in here as long as we've cleaned them because they are very sandy. Celery trimmings, a little bit of carrot trimmings, but not carrot peelings, because you need to think about surface area, and that's just pulling. Carrots are very high in sugar, and so you wouldn't want a sweet stock. When you look at this bag, even though this looks crazy, like what goes in the trash bin, when you look at this bag, once you add celery and carrot to it,
And parsley stems.
parsley stems are
Don't
great.
throw away your parsley
You kind
stems.
of want to eyeball this, and you want to have more onion and celery than you do carrot. So it's almost like that mirepoix ratio. You wouldn't want a ton of carrot and a little bit of onion and a little bit of celery. So that's kind of what you want to look at. There aren't a ton of other vegetables that I put in here. Maybe some squash or zucchini every once in a while, but there's no potato peelings, no bell pepper, no asparagus, no forward flavors.
No
it's
mushrooms.
really, it's really just your flavors that come from mirepoix. And then if we had chicken, the chicken back or wings or even chicken feet could go in here for a chicken stock, but most often we make vegetable stock here. The way we get to that stock is our crock pot. It gives us that perfect lazy bubble. We don't have to babysit it. Crock pot on low overnight. We've got stock when we come back in. And that is something that would have been destined for the trash bin. And now
look,
you've got, saving
so
and
much
you're not,
money.
Yeah, you're not buying stock. So
You don't have to.
pro tip.
I definitely love it.
Okay, let's take a peek and see how we're doing. All right, so those need to sear and get some color on them. And once we get nice color on these, we can move these to the oven.
And we're going to put that oven on 400.
Yeah, 400 degrees. It's going to go in a hot oven, and you're going to stir after about 10 minutes, and it's probably going to take a total of about 20, 25 minutes to get these done.
You want to be able to put a knife in it,
Yeah,
like a baked
for
potato.
them to be
Yeah,
tender
you want to
with
be
a knife
tender.
in them.
Yeah.
We've been browning these for a few minutes, and this is what we're looking for. That flat side that's got that beautiful browned edge, that is golden brown and delicious. And so now we're ready to finish these off in the oven.
Let's put them in.
We are going to go into that 400 degree oven, and we've got about 10 minutes. We'll give them a stir, another 10 minutes, and we'll be able to finish them off.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds great.
We're 10 minutes in. Let's check and see where we are.
They smell delicious.
They do. Ooh, it smells roasty, toasty. They are gorgeous.
They're getting there.
So, do you have a knife? Let's pierce one of our larger ones. Close, but not quite there.
The stem is not there.
So,
No, not there
And I'm
yet.
also noticing. Let's stir these a little bit. Oh gosh, they're beautiful. Look, those little leaves that fell off
Yeah.
are crispy. That's the good stuff. Okay, so it's gotten a little dry, so we do need to add some more fat to the pan. You know, that's a lot of little cabbages, and they've taken up all that bacon fat. We're going to come in with our caramelized onion avocado oil to play off of those onions we already caramelized, those shallots we already caramelized. So we can come in with a little bit more fat. And then I think we're probably 7-10 minutes more, and then we will be good to go.
Okay.
All right. I smell Brussels sprouts.
I think
we should check them.
yeah.
All right, let's get these going. Oh, they look amazing. Oh, they're perfectly brown. All those little
That's
crispies.
what I'm looking for.
All right, let's make sure they're tender.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay. So we're going to finish these guys off by making a little syrup, and we're going to do it right here in the pan.
Yes, we are.
We're going to make a well in the center. Don't forget your pan is piping hot at this point. We're going to make a well in the center, and we've got brown sugar and balsamic vinegar. So we're going to use our cranberry dark balsamic. So we're going to get that in there. get our heat going a little bit. And
I want to bring up the bits on the bottom here and turn this into a little bit of a syrup.
Yeah, so these are going to melt. We're going to melt our brown sugar, and that's going to give us an opportunity
you see this?
to pull that bond that's been created,
All right.
all of that up. So
Let's see if that's going to do it.
Get that to melt and make a syrup. We're just going to let that do its thing in the center just for a minute, and then incorporate all the Brussels sprouts. This comes together really, really quickly, and then this is ready to serve piping hot to your guests.
But let's talk about that. Does all your sides have to be piping hot? Let's face it, we're all fighting for space in the oven.
Right. I think there's a lot of nervousness about that, and I think in the end, no one went home that evening and said,
Brussels sprouts.
I really wish that cornbread dressing had been a little warmer. So first of all, folks are excited to be invited to your home. That's number one. But second, choosing sides where some are really good room temp.
And this is one of them.
Yeah. All right, so I can smell the sugar doing its thing, so I'm going to move this around, and we are good to go. I'm actually going to shut off our heat, and we're going to hit this with, our bacon and shallots.
Yeah, that's what we're going to hit it with, and some drippings.
I almost forgot.
No, ma'am.
The best thing is happening. Oh, my gosh. Bacon and shallots go back in, and then we garnish with
some pumpkin seeds.
Toasted pumpkin seeds.
But it's 'tis the season. And it comes to the table in this dish. It's a good-looking cast iron pot.
That's beautiful.
And there you go.
All right. So.
Are we ready?
We are ready to taste. Let's see how we did. I love Brussels sprouts. And this is a great way, great departure from just that sheet pan roasting, which there's nothing wrong with it, but a great departure, really different flavors. You got more bacon than me.
I see that.
All right. Get me some of that. And
I
let's give them a taste. See how we did.
Yeah, we did it.
Yummy?
Very yummy. That's delicious.
That's amazing. So the first thing that hits me is smokiness from the bacon.
That's not hitting me, it's bacon.
And then I get
sweet,
and the sweet's coming from all over the place. The cranberry maple rub. Oh, I get the orange from the cranberry maple rub. I'm getting sweet from cranberry maple, and then also sweetness from the caramelized onions. Really, really nice. That is a great dish.
It is. We have all the flavor profiles going on.
That's on my Thanksgiving table. All right. Thanks, Lily. This was always fun. Thanks, everyone.
I want to wish all my listeners a happy Thanksgiving, no matter what goes on with your turkey this Thursday. I am so excited that you all were here with us for this very, very special episode where I got to go through some memories, talk about more recent memories, and also solve a few problems. Smidgen is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and now on Pandora. Please subscribe. You can also learn everything about Red Stick Spice at redstickspice.com. You can also head over to smidgenpodcast.com to check out our show notes, links to everything we talked about in this episode. Another episode is coming next week. We'll see you then. Happy Thanksgiving.